Blog Talk Radio.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. I'm your host, Ted Odorico, and we've got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be joined here in just a few moments after I do the usual introductions. I'm going to be joined by two great ladies in the golf business, Shirley Spork, who was one of the original 13 founders of the LPGA, and, of course, my good friend, Leno Zimron, who was with us last week, and I'll tell you a little bit about her as well in just a moment. And then a little bit later on in the broadcast, we're going to be joined by famed videographer Charlene Fisk, who was responsible for the editing and directing of the Founders film, which we're also going to be talking about, which sort of talks about some of the upcoming pioneers, Shirley being one of them, of the early days in the LPGA. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. But I want to remind everybody, of course, we are live every Thursday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. Central, or 7 to 9 for those of you on the East Coast, and 4 to 6 for those of you out in Pacific time. But thank you for joining me live tonight. And for those of you that maybe aren't too sure where to tune in, you can go to blogtalkradio.com and just type in Golf Talk Live in your search key, and that will take you to the main page. And on our live broadcast, of course, it'll be right there front and center. But for some reason, if you can't join us during the live broadcast, but you do want to hear the show, again, you go to blogtalkradio.com/Golf Talk Live and just scroll down to the on-demand section, and you can listen to the recorded version a little bit later. Always would love to hear from you. If you want to call in during any of the live broadcasts, you're welcome to do so. The number to call is area code 646-716-4667, or you can email me questions at any time during the broadcast or after to ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And, of course, I update everything on social media, on Facebook, and, of course, on my Twitter handle, Ted and Buck CEO. So just go to my Facebook page or to the Golf Talk Live blog page on Facebook, and you'll see the updates for all of the shows up and coming and that. But glad you could join us tonight, and I'm very, very excited about today's show as we welcome Shirley Spork, one of the, as I mentioned, one of the original 13 founders of the LPGA in 1950, along with such illustrious names as Babe Zaharias, Patty Berg, Louise Suggs, and Marilynn Smith. And today, at nearly 90 years young, Shirley is just one of the three founders still with us, and she continues to inspire every golfer and person she meets. She graduated from Eastern Michigan University, where she won the first ever National Collegiate Championship back in 1947, and today that would be the equivalent of the NCAA Championship. She's always been a teacher at heart and a player with a keen eye for swing technique as well as psychological understanding of her students. Considered the LPGA's resident trick shot artist, Shirley loved to entertain crowds and teach clinics at some of the earlier tour stops. Also, she became the driving force behind the founding of the LPGA Teaching and Club Professionals Division in 1959 and has served as their chairperson for 8 years and continues even now to add to her many awards and accolades. And as I also mentioned to you, my good friend Leno Zimron is joining us, but let me just tell you a little bit about her before I bring both of them on. She's a Class A LPGA teacher professional, and she also was here last week, and she brought a great show together on the iMap My Golf, and for bringing her mentor, of course, this week, Shirley Spork. We're very excited about that as well. Jamie has been part of my Coach's Corner team for the last several years, and in addition to being a great LPGA teaching professional, she's also the founder of KiAi Golf Training, integrating holistic teachings for golfers and teachers, and from her rich background as a competitive player. She's also a fifth-degree Aikido black belt, a psychologist, and, of course, a corporate speaker. And as I mentioned, we're going to be joined a little bit later on by Charlene Fisk. As I mentioned, she's an award-winning videographer and we'll talk a little bit more about her as she comes on board. But in the meantime, after all of that, ladies, welcome to Golf Talk Live.
Well, thanks. I'm out here in the West Coast, and I'm looking out my window at the snow-capped mountains here in our desert, and the sun is shining brightly, and this is a snow bunny time of year, and we have lots of extra traffic, and it's kind of hectic. It takes you a little longer to get the golf course. Well, yeah. Gosh, way back when, in the beginning, a group of us amateur lady golfers who were proficient and recognized in our state associations, we wanted to further our competitive drive, and there was nowhere to be seen of doing something like that. So the great Babe Zaharias, who could do about anything, anytime, star in the Olympics in the first 50 years of the 1900s, she was recognized as the athlete of that time, and she wanted to compete herself, so she convinced Wilson Sporting Goods to hire a tournament director, and then she tried to gather up some players so we could go play, and then we had to find sponsors and all that, and our first year, gosh, we played a whole 11 tournaments, and it was through the grace of sponsors such as a godmother, Helen Lingfield, on the West Coast, and Alvin Hanmacher on the East Coast, who put up the monies. They had charities that they could write it off on, so they put up money for us, along with Rotary Clubs and Civitan groups, as we traveled by car across the country. And we were just kind of like a little circus. We came to the town, and we went to the radio station, and we put little signs in their store windows at gas stations, and we went out to the local ballpark to promote our tournament, to get people to come out to see us play. And we had a very small group. We only had 11 professionals, so we had to gather in the local low handicap women to fill in for us, so we had enough people to have spectators want to come out and watch us go around the whole golf course. And we didn't have much money to be paying anyone to help us, so we did it ourselves. We did mark the course. We made rulings on our own players. On Sunday night, we went to a payphone and called in the results to APUP and Golf World, and that was about the only publicity we were getting. And, of course, in the days of starting our tour in 1950, anything we did or any pictures were ever taken were in black and white. So when you see pictures of the past players, they're all in black and white. And now when Charlene Fisk started working on a documentary of the history of the LPGA, it was very hard for her to find film. And when she did find it, it was black and white. So the beginning of the Founders film is all in black and white, and near the end, when they interview the present players, it's in color. So we never dreamed that this small group of us would come to see the future of the fact that now, instead of having the LPGA, we have 6 tours. We have the LPGA, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, LGU, which means the European Ladies Golf Association, which is going to be run by the Royal and Ancient starting in 2018, and the Taiwanese tour. So there are 6 tours now. Imagine that. When we started, why were we out there? Why did we want to just travel around? And we didn't think about the future, about going to other countries or anything like that. We were out there we were just elated to drive 40,000 miles a year and be able to see the USA and meet people and stay in their homes. There weren't even motels then. There were Holiday Inns didn't start till 1951. So we tried to stay at homes of the courses we were at, so that to save on expense money and get to know them. And I can say that I've been in every state, and I have friends in every state. So that was a real plus for me, because my life has ventured through 68 years of the tour, not only as a player but also as a teacher.
Shirley, this
yes.
is Jamie. Yeah, hi everybody. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the WPGA. That we have the L, the ladies professional, but before 1950, there was a tour that didn't work. That was the Women's Professional Golf Association.
In 1945, 46, and 47. Ellen Griffin, Betty Hicks, Hope Signius, and Patty Berg, and the Babe. No, excuse me, Babe wasn't a part of that. And they started a tour, and they played not too many tournaments because they didn't have any sponsors, but one of the ladies, Hope Signius' father owned a gin mill in Greensboro, North Carolina, and he put up the money, the prize money for our tournaments. And the WPGA held the first women's open, and this is prior to the USGA having a USGA women's open. Other than that, today, as of last year, we have 100 and I'm getting mixed up here. Let me think back here. When we started to play in the 50s, we had 11 events, and the total prize purse for the whole year, was $60,000. So we paid down everybody from 1 to 10 or 1 to 11 got a little teeny bit. So even at the end, if you're 10th, you get enough money for gas to get to the next tournament. But the WPGA, I was in high school when the WPGA was functioning. I graduated high school in 1945, and I wanted to join that group, but my parents had a different idea. They thought this little redheaded girl should go to college. So I went on to college, and in that era, women were not supposed to excel in individual sports. You were supposed to do team sports. So they poo-pooed my golf. And to go play in the National Collegiate, I had to pay my own way to go to the tournament, which was at Ohio State. And winning it, that was the only national championship Eastern Michigan won that year, men or women. So, and they wouldn't recognize or give me any credit in the women's department. So the men gave me a jacket, not a letter, but a jacket that said National Intercollegiate Champion. But 2 years ago, I finally got my E, and I told them it was for effort. It took 67 years to get it.
Shirley, let me ask you. Yeah, well, congratulations. I know it took 67 years, but it was well deserved. Shirley, let me just ask you, just to go back a little bit, not so much about the tour for a moment, but about you personally. When did you first start playing golf as a youngster, and what specifically about the game intrigued you that you decided that, hey, this was for me, and sort of propelled you into to something for a lifetime? What specifically? When did you start first off, and what specifically about the game intrigued you?
Well, I was from Detroit, Michigan, and our family moved to the outer borders of the city in the northwest corner, and on the property line was a golf course. And the golfers sliced their ball into our yards, and I'd pick up the balls and sell them back to the players. And the kids in the neighborhood caddied and said, if you have some clubs, you can play with us on Mondays, because caddies could play free on Mondays. I didn't caddy, but I could go with them and play. So I rode the streetcar down into Detroit to a sporting goods shop, and they didn't have any clubs for $1. So they told me to go to the S.S. Christie drugstore, dime store. And there was a great big barrel of clubs, and they were tall, they were short, they were long, they were wood, they were iron, and they had numbers on them. And I picked out the one that had a number 10 on it. And it was short and straight, and I was so excited that I went home down through the neighborhood and told the boys that I can go play with you. I got a club, and they all laughed at me because the club I bought was a putter. So I'd tee it up and hit it in the fairway, and I'd tee it up and hit it to the green, and then I putted it in the hole. So that's really why, working on my book, I'm calling the book From Green to Tee, because I started at the end and I'm trying to get to the beginning. But
just to let the folks know that are tuning in, let me just point out, Shirley, real quick. Shirley's referring to a book that she's going to be having coming out in the next couple of months. And we'll keep you updated on that when it becomes available. And I believe you said off air that it was going to be available through Amazon.com. So we'll keep you posted on that. But let me ask you something as well, Shirley. Were you self-taught? Did you sort of teach yourself how to play, or did you ever take any sort of formal lessons early on?
Well, the golf course being right next to our property, I would. And there was a hole that went up the hill, and then the next hole came down the hill. So I'd go up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill. And then the ranger would come and chase me off because it was a daily fee course, and I hadn't bought a ticket. So the ranger kept telling the pro there's a little red-headed kid over there hitting the golf ball around there with one golf club. So he looked me up, and he gave me some old clubs, a 3.579, and the grips had leather, cork, leather, cork, leather, cork. The only problem was the cork was gone, and it was just leather, nothing, leather, nothing, leather, nothing. So I held the club rather strangely because I didn't want to hurt my hand. So the Detroit Free Press newspaper put on a clinic and the men professionals in the area came to this group lesson three evenings in 3 weeks, three times. And they would walk by and say, you have a bad grip. And then that pro would come by and he'd say, you have a bad grip. So the third one that came by, I said, I know I have a bad grip. Now tell me how to do it different. So finally they showed me how to hold the club, and I finally got some clubs that had real grips on them. And to this day, I feel that the grip is the most important thing. The other two things that are important is you play with your eyes and your hands and your feet. And your eyes tell you where to go, and your hands direct the golf club, and you deliver the power with your core and your center, and you finish the swing, and you can chase it. And those are, I think, basic things in golf are so important, and it's important to start correctly. I never had the money to take golf lessons, but I watched, I just observed good players. When I was on tour, I was lucky to travel with Marilynn Smith, and she took a lesson from most every town we went to, the top pro, and I would sit and watch, and then I'd go try what he was telling her. It might help me. So I don't think that's the way to learn to play the game. And playing as a kid in Michigan, there was no junior golf. They didn't have junior golf. When I started into high school, the women's public links allowed me to play with them. And to play in your state championship anywhere in our country in that era, you could not play in the state unless you belonged to a private club. Well, they did invite the Pub Links champion. So that's how I got to play in our state, and that's how I got to become proficient and recognized, and traveled to Augusta Country Club to play in our title holders, and that's where I got to meet Patty Berg and all the other greats, and it just kind of like a tumbleweed. I just followed the group, and we began to give golf clinics when people came to watch us. We had a swing parade. Everybody was assigned a club to hit, and that way we passed the hat, and we had money to pay someone to announce us on the first tee. So we kind of all were self-made.
Right.
Some of the
Shirley,
ladies.
Shirley, with the clinics and all that you would do, that was really kind of being your own media, right?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
You did your own publicity. You were like your own social media back in the day, doing clinics everywhere you went when you get to town.
Yes, we had to promote ourselves, and then, of course, to give us enough monies throughout the year, we represented sporting goods companies, Wilson, Spalding, McGregor, and Golfcraft. Those were the four major companies, and they made golf clubs with our name on them, and you got a royalty of 7 cents per club that they made. Woohoo! That was a lot of money. Yeah. So, and they paid our expenses to go give clinics at their key accounts. So that was how we survived in between the 11 tournaments we had, or each year as it grew, it became more players, of course, and they sold more clubs, and I made more 7 cents.
Right.
So,
Shirley, let me ask you, Shirley, if I can, about the teaching aspect of golf. In addition to obviously all of the original founders and other guests that played in the tournaments, you were also involved in instrumentally creating and developing the teaching division of the LPGA. How did that come about? What was the process there, and how did that?
Okay, after we started in 1950, 1951. About 3 years into that, I'd say about 1954. The money was with the top three, which was Suggs and Zaharias and Berg. Those were the big three. And the rest of us were just fiddling down, just out there. We weren't making a living. And having teaching credentials, I kept saying at our annual meetings, we need a teaching division. We should start a teaching division. And it was voted down 2 years. The third year it came in at 1959. We won by one vote. Now, the reason they voted against us, I finally found out, is they thought it would take girls away from joining the tour. That was their thinking, and I'm thinking the opposite. I'm thinking we, as teachers, will build players and build a tour. Today we have 1,700 members, and they're in 25 countries. We are global as of 3 years ago. So it's astronomical to think that they have a total of 420 players, of which 200 are on call, and you only play 144 at a tournament. So, but we have 1,700 members to gather knowledge and teaching theories and ways to create the right golf swing. So we are the leaders of promotion of stimulating people to want to play golf, I think. And Also,
Right.
the latest thing is Top Golf, and Top Golf is endorsed by the PGA and the LPGA, and Top Golf is an entry into thinking about the game, not going to play the game. You're there to experience swinging at a ball and whiffing it, or topping it, but you're there to have fun at the same time.
Right.
They are a stimulant to get people interested. My thought today is that we must give more attention to the senior golfer, because we have tons of junior programs, and our facilities here in the desert, of course, in any resort area, we have too many facilities and not enough people as members to allow the course to function. So
right.
the senior is leaving the game, and it's up to the teachers to keep them in the game with more stimulant, and also the golf course because of this fast cyber world we're in. People can't waste 5 hours on 18 holes. So the golf course architect is coming in and bringing the 6th hole back to the clubhouse. So you can play 6 holes, 12 holes, or 18 holes. That way you can go do other things. And if you have a family on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday, your kids and the mother and the dad can go out and play 6 holes. You don't have to play 18.
Right, exactly. Right.
You can do something.
Shirley, right, exactly. Shirley, let me ask you, while we were on the topic of teaching, do you have a specific teaching philosophy or approach to teaching golfers in your mind? What is your sort of philosophy, if you will, of teaching anybody, young or old, how to play in today's game?
The best philosophy, I believe, is that if they take my time and they take their money to learn the game and they don't practice, they've wasted their money and my time.
Right.
And
that's true.
I would say that anyone that takes a lesson, I would not give them another lesson until they practice twice, either sitting reading or exercising, conditioning, or hitting balls. They're not going to get any better if they just go out on the golf course, because they're going to use the bad habits they have. So as an instructor on a long view of it, you're undoing bad habits and replacing them with good habits. And to hit a golf ball, you would like to have rhythm and timing and balance. Everybody's an individual, and everybody has a different idea of what they want out of golf. And it's your duty to figure that one out, not just tell them what you know. What do they want to know? I've had one gentleman come and say, I just want to hit it hard and far. Okay. I had one that said, I would like to play 9 holes in my own fairway. He hit the ball 2 fairways over. He was playing the other part of the golf course. Some players, like Sally, wants to beat Mary because Mary's a club champion. So some are competitive and some just like the clothes they wear. You know, everybody has different ideas of why they're there. So that's what's fun in teaching, because it's never boring.
Right, exactly.
What
Let
do
me
you
ask
think,
the two
Jamie?
of you.
Well, I wanted something that I think, Shirley, is, you know, in a sense, it's sort of old school to talk about you got to practice, you know. But
you're not coming in very clear. You're a little too close to the mic.
Oh, 1 second. Let me see if I can make that any better.
That's better.
What I was
that's better.
Yeah, what I was saying, Shirley, is that you know, in a sense, it's sort of old school to hear talk about, well, people need to practice. It doesn't just happen. You know, the best teaching, the best lesson, the best teacher, you still need to practice. And when I listen to you, I'm always so amazed. It feels like kind of listening to a master in the sort of the Japanese or the martial arts kind of master. You just come out with so many pearls of wisdom that just make so much sense and that are so timeless. And that just kind of cut right to it. Even when I'm on a golf course with you, it's like, wow, the things you say just go boom, just zing right in. And so I just want you to know how much I appreciate your mastery as a teacher and as a person, but especially as a teacher. It's just amazing to me.
The thing about golf, in my observation, is that swing theory has changed every 10 years. And I'm into my 7th decade. So I have seen 6 different changes in the golf swing. And in the beginning, the pros that came over from England and Scotland, they had been caddies, and they came to this country and became golf pros. And whomever was winning a tournament, that's what they taught. Way back in the 40s, 50s, it was whoever was winning and what kind of a putter they were using, and everybody just copied that. Well, everybody's an individual, and physically you can't always do that. You have to understand kinesiology. You have to understand the structure of the muscle and how it moves. And because of going to wonderful workshops through the LPGA, we have guest instructors that give us information as to why something's happening. And you watch today, right now, everybody wants to hit it far. And you look at the LA Genesis Open here in Riviera, the gentleman who won, Johnson, hit the ball 380, 320, and in a pouring rain, he's hitting it this far, carrying the ball. So he's way ahead of everybody. Most of those pros have, the men, and especially the women now, they carry at least 4 wedges, because most horsepower holes is nothing more than a drive and a wedge for Lexi Thompson. And their swing is powerful, and it's not pretty, but it makes the ball go far. But they still have to get it up and down. So the short game has stayed pretty much the same. Would you agree with that, Jamie?
Yeah, and that's what I appreciate so much about you, is that there are, you're so current and up with you say every 5 years, 10 years, there's new swing theories. There's obviously a lot of new technology. But there are things that stay the same that are really so timeless. And one of them is obviously getting up and down. You've got to get it in the hole. And so, the emphasis on short game, your emphasis on really the principles and the things that are timeless in golf is so important.
Right. Let me ask, since we're, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead with your thoughts, Shirley.
In clubs, the manufacturer of clubs, in the beginning, we worked for a company. We were called the advisory staff. And they would design a club, and we were to go out and test it and then tell them what was good or bad about it. And that's why they had companies and had, like, Gary Player clubs, and Wilson had Sam Snead clubs, and Hogan had his clubs. And now everything's done on a computer. You don't need an advisory staff. A computer can design a golf club head and put different kind of shafts in it and test it in their laboratory. They don't need individual competitors doing it. So they come with all their equipment to the tournaments. Like here in our desert, the ANA Dinah Shore tournament, all the manufacturers bring their latest thing out for them to hit and tell them if they like the color or they like it, did it go farther or it go straighter. But the machines are making it easier. There was a golf program where they had a contest recently, Wilson, to somebody to design a driver that they were going to vote on, and it was a big program that went on for a few weeks, and then they finally decided on one group won the prize, and so they make that driver. So equipment today is so different than when we played. I did not play with wooden shafts. I started with steel, and then we went to working with graphite, and we had a glass shaft, a golf craft glass shaft, and it was fiber, Owens Corning fiberglass, and it came in a roll, and they adhered it with heat onto a steel rod, and it became lighter. So the club shaft became lighter. Then they've worked with titanium. They worked with aluminum. And the club today is almost like a bamboo pole or a fishing rod. And all the flux and everything comes in there like this, and boom, the ball goes forever. But if the people that are winning today had to play with the equipment we played with, they would not be scoring the ball that well.
Right. We're going to pick up.
It would fit the golf course. And, you can't be making the golf course larger and larger and longer and longer. The Masters has just spent trillions of dollars buying up a shopping center to combine it into their holes to make the holes longer. Well, you can't just keep trying to make the golf course longer. I think that the best thing to do is make the ball go less for tournament players to fit the golf course. Because when you go out to play, Ted, when you go out to play, your power is 72, but a PGA player, their power would be 68 because they could hit every 5 iron too.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Let me just interrupt for just a quick second, ladies. I want to bring in into the conversation Charlene Fisk. I see that she's ready here. So let me just do a very quick introduction, and then I'll bring Charlene into the fold here. As I mentioned earlier, folks, Charlene Fisk is an award-winning videographer who served both as director and editor of the Founders film, which documents the early pioneers and years of the LPGA. She has won numerous regional Emmys for her work and on arts and documentary programming for such notable projects as PBS, TLC, ESPN, Lifetime, and the Discovery Channel. So please welcome my very special guest joining the conversation, Charlene Fisk.
Hey, Ted, thank you. Hey, Shirley, how are you?
Hi, Charlie.
Hey, Jamie, how are you? Yeah.
I'm great. Really glad you made it. I'm glad you made the film.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to talk about in just a second, Charlene, about the film, but I want to finish off a thought that two of them were talking about, and I want to add something a little bit different. What is your take? Now, you've explained, Shirley, about the equipment, a lot of the changes, and I agree with you. I think that they need to do something. In fact, Jack Nicklaus has said many times over the years that they needed to do something both with the ball, particularly with the ball, but also even with the equipment, because it's just making a lot of golf courses, even Augusta National, almost obsolete in today's game. But I want to ask you something that Jamie kind of alluded to a little bit as well. And Jamie, I want your input on this as well. The modern technology out there, I mean, there's all kinds of gadgets. You've got everything on social media that is available to the average amateur out there. Do you think that my question is this, do you think that the industry is doing itself a disservice by pushing a lot of this technology and making it a little bit, I guess the word I'm looking for is difficult for the average golfer? They're making it too confusing for many of the high handicappers out there. What are your thoughts, Shirley? And then Jamie, I want you to chime in on that as well.
I absolutely agree with you. First of all, the average player does not swing the same way from hole to hole. So a piece of equipment, if it isn't being directed correctly, it's not going to help them. Instead of spending some money on taking some lessons to get more consistent, they take their money and buy a very expensive golf club and think that the club's going to help them. Well, they have to have a golf swing
right.
to use it. But the clubs today are easier to hit, much easier. And they don't have to take as many lessons, but they have to train and get more proficient. And, you know, at a country club, when Mr. Smith comes and he just retired and he wants to get better, he wants to be a better player, and I say to him, let's say he's 65 years old, and I say, well, don't you want to keep what you have? It's hard to, and also they now have more days to play golf, and then they play too much golf, and then they hurt their back, and then they can't play at all. So
right.
Golf is a game alluding in the fact that you have so many different winners. You don't. If someone starts winning, they just don't win. There's other people playing out there, so you don't have it. And you don't once get it and keep it. It evolves, it jumps away from you, then it comes back. And by having encouragement from your coach or your teacher and say, I know a lady came to me and my member said, well, why is she here? She just won a tournament. Well, she did it because she wants to keep winning. And when Mickey Wright, who was a very wonderful player, when she would be presented the winning prize, she would leave and go out on the driving range and hit balls before she left that place. You would think, well, why is she out there hitting balls? She just won. Well, she wants to keep winning. So
right.
You hate to go. If you just won something, you don't want to go to bed and lose it. You might stay up 24 hours.
Right, exactly. Jamie, let me ask you a little bit differently here, just onto a point, and I agree 100% with you as well, Shirley, with respect to, how people allocate their money. I think a lot of, especially for the guys, I think it's different for women. I think women are much smarter consumers when it comes to making purchases than the men are. But I think that what a lot of men do is particularly is that they'll, take $200-$300 or what have you, and they'll go out and buy the latest, greatest driver thinking this is going to help their game, where that money, as you pointed out, surely could be better spent. So, Jamie, I want you to sort of chime in your thoughts as well. I mean, I'm sure you see this with even some of your corporate people that you're working with. They'll show up with some shiny new equipment, but they still haven't worked all the kinks out of their golf swing. So where do we draw the line or find the balance, if you will, between when's it time to upgrade the equipment and when's it time to sort of hold back and let's work on the key fundamentals first?
Well, I think there's really... Go ahead, Jamie. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think that, we need to really kind of expand our idea of what motivates people to play golf, and also what constitutes success. We have such an idea that hitting the ball far or getting a low score is what it's all about. And there's so much more that golf is about. I mean, there's a social aspect, there's a fitness aspect, there's a getting to know yourself, your self-knowledge aspect. Just the experience of yourself around 18 holes of golf is really interesting. And the business aspect. So there's so many reasons to play golf, just to be outside and enjoy nature. And those things are all a win. When we keep this idea that I think most of us labor under, is that it's kind of how far I hit the ball and how low I can score is really the sort of the only real measure or real goal of golf. And in reality, it isn't. I mean, so many people are out there for all these other reasons, and finding equipment that allows them to play optimally, everybody wants to improve, but that they're enjoying themselves and getting out of the game, all these other benefits. And then to have equipment that matches. It's kind of like, I love Jack Nicklaus being a spokesperson for play the tees that match your game. I think we just have so much ego involved that it's hard. I remember my dad, who he's now 97, just about, but he played up until he was about 90, and he's still going back there to the white and blue tees, and it's like, Dad, you can play forward tees, you're 90 years old, but no, I mean, the ego's there, the male ego's there, and it's like, no, come on. So,
right.
those are some of my thoughts. And I just wanted to say, when Shirley was talking about some of the older clubs, original clubs, I actually still have my original Wilson staff clubs when I was a junior golf champion. They're in my garage, and I look at them and I go, wow, I can't believe I shot in the 70s or 80s with those golf clubs. How did I ever do it? But we did, you know. It's great, some of the new equipment's so wonderful, but, you know, at the same time, it is about the swing and the self and the mind and the emotions and all that good stuff.
Right. And that's where skill comes in, you know, like as Shirley pointed out as well. I mean, once you learn how to use the equipment properly, you can pretty much put just about anything in your hand, equipment-wise, and be able to get good results. As I mentioned, I wanted to bring Charlene into the conversation. She's been very patiently waiting. So, Jamie, I'm just going to read out something. This is from the Founders Film website, just a little intro, a little bit about what Founders Film, and then Charlene, I'm going to get you to maybe expand a little bit more. The Founders, as we were been talking about a little earlier, is an iconic story of 13 women, as we mentioned in the beginning, who in 1950 battled society, prejudice, and preconception to create a lasting global sporting legacy. They were not supposed to be athletes. They were not supposed to get paid to play. They were not supposed to call the shots. And with a little humor, grit, and raw talent, these underdogs not only changed the course of women's sport, but created a timeless story of redemption and endurance. While their male counterparts drew adoring crowds and handsome purses for their athletic achievements, the Founders used money from their own pockets, as Shirley had indicated earlier as well, to stage tournaments in small, far-flung towns that questioned whether female golfers were even worth watching. Together they logged thousands of miles a week just for the opportunity to tee off on courses they also had to groom. With the creation of the Ladies Professional Golf Association, which is LPGA for short, the Founders staked their claim on the green and forged a path for future women athletes to be celebrated and taken seriously. Long overdue, this film is about finally recognizing these unseen efforts and identifying the Founders as true icons of sport and equality. I think I know the answer to this, Charlene, but what was the inspiration for you getting involved in this project?
Oh, wow. I mean, once I found out about the story and talked to a couple of these founders, I had no choice but to tell the story. But, you know, I was given the story by a friend of mine who was teaching me to play golf. And I love sports. I've been playing sports my whole life, high school and college. And I've been out of it for a minute, but I was learning to play golf again. And he said to me, do you know about these women? You know, and I'd never heard of them. And I thought, well, why haven't I heard about these women? I've always needed inspiration as a woman, as a female athlete. And so it didn't take much for me to want to finally tell this story. I mean, we all need to hear about it.
Do you think, Charlene, that for the young professionals today and the young girls that are out there, that this is an important film that should become part of a regular curriculum? And the reason why I ask that is, you know, as each generation sort of comes into fold, earlier generations kind of get forgotten a little bit, and I think that even some of the younger ladies on the LPGA Tour may not know who some of these pioneers were and how they sort of got where they are today. So when you were putting this project together or getting involved in this project, what was your thought as to how you wanted to relay this information so that future generations could benefit from the knowledge?
Well, listen, immediately after watching some of the footage, we dug up a ton of old footage, which wasn't easy. But immediately after seeing some of this footage, the athleticism and the skill that these women had playing on the clubs that they played on and on the greens and on the fairways that they played on is incredible. And just watching them play, I mean, I learned so much. But also, I mean, these athletes were, I mean, they were and are at the top of the game. And, you know, we just haven't seen them. We haven't gotten to see how they played and how well they played. And I think it's important for everyone to see that. I mean, they're they created a lot of the techniques that players use now. Why? Because they spent all those hours doing that, you know, and they have the talent. And so it's important for players now to look back at that legacy, not only for their own game, but also for what like what you should bring to the sport, like what how to treat other people as athletes and as other people on the green. It's there's so many different things you can take from it, but the athleticism is unparalleled. It's really, really incredible to see. I don't know if you've seen the film, but it's.
I've seen little bits of it. I haven't seen the whole thing, but I definitely will make a point of seeing it all. Let me ask you just sort of a follow-up then. You know, obviously the film talks about the game itself, of course, but what was your thought process, I guess, when putting this together? Obviously, you didn't want to just film a bunch of women hitting golf shots all day. You wanted to, and footage, you wanted to tell a story. So tell us a little bit of what, I mean, obviously you don't want to give everything away for those that haven't seen it, but tell us a little bit, walk us through a little bit of the story from beginning to end, maybe just sort of highlight where the story begins and where it sort of finishes up.
Well, the story is, 60 years in the making, and that means there's 60 years of history behind what these women have done and created and grown. And there's so many people that have put their blood, sweat, and tears into making the LPGA what it is today. And it is really an iconic organization for women in sports. And it was really hard to pare those 60 years down. So when we did the film, we decided to focus on the women that founded it, who are still here with us: Shirley, Marilynn, Marlene, and at the time, Louise Suggs. And we decided to kind of talk to them and find out who they were as people. So the film not only shows us who these amazing women are, but it gives us a history of what it took for them to pull this organization together, to keep it going, and to create this long legacy of this organization. So there's a lot of comedic and funny moments between these women. You can imagine after 60 years of knowing each other and playing, and I mean, they played very competitively, but then they also, like Shirley, helped form the teaching division, and somehow they got past their competition on the courses and found ways to keep the game accessible for women and create this legacy.
Right. Well, I think it would be safe to say, too, that they're friends in a lot of ways. They're not just competitors. I mean, obviously there's a point that they had to put their game face on, if you will, when they get out in the golf course. But off the golf course, they were just like every other person out there. They were friendly and charming and endearing and so forth. So what was when you look at the film and went through the process, what was some of the things that surprised you most? That obviously I'm sure a lot of information you didn't know and found out as you put it together. But what was some of the most interesting and maybe surprising things that you discovered as you were going through the process of putting this together?
Well, absolutely. The one thing that surprised me and made it very hard for me was I thought I was going to speak to these women and they were going to understand how much they had sacrificed and had done to create this organization, right? None of them took an ounce of credit. I kept saying, like, what was so hard? What was, what were your biggest obstacles? And they all just looked at me and laughed. I think so. One of the most surprising things to me was how humble they are about their achievements. Consistently. Go ahead, Jamie.
No,
it's Shirley, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Shirley.
Go ahead, Shirley. I'm not sure. Oh, I think she actually hung up on us by mistake. I'll wait for her to call back. I think she was. It sounded like she was juggling with the phone. Oh, that might be her right there. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Can you hear me
now? Shirley, I'm sorry. Yeah, we can hear you. We got cut off there. Go ahead. You were about to jump in.
I want to compliment Charlie because she had a desire, and she was determined, and she was disciplined, and she was dedicated. This film would have never been made if she didn't have these 4 qualities. They've sacrificed a great deal, and it's taken a long time to get it out in the field because, of course, money is a big issue. They put up all their own money to make this film. It's all in the can. It's ready for a director to pick up for the big screen, but we have to keep going to film festivals and hoping that a director will catch a hold of it and it'll go. I'd like to ask Charlie, now that there's a possibility of maybe getting it out to the public, or golf organizations around the country could rent it and show it to their major groups, and maybe that way someone will help you vote it farther. It's a shame that it hasn't been able to be shown more, and I just pray to God it does get going for your sake and for the sake of history of women's golf.
Well, Shirley, let me interrupt you real quick and just say we had a lot of support from the LPGA, from individual players like Kari Webb and Stacey Lewis. People have definitely supported the film. What Shirley's referring to is it still takes a lot to get a film out into the audiences, like so people can see it. And we're in the process, hopefully, of negotiating what's called a distribution, which means that people will be able to buy DVDs and see it on, Netflix or places like that, and actually use it. But we're contacted every day about people, from people who want to see the film, and I think there's such a need for it. And absolutely, I think the crew of people who created the film are a lot like the women who are the founders, like Shirley. We believed in it, and we want to continue to create a place for each other, right? And it takes a lot of people to do that. It's not one person, and I think Shirley. I say that saying Shirley was part of that as well. Shirley and I talk all the time. She had to be tolerant. I actually want to ask Shirley what surprised her the most about making the film, because I mean, there were times Shirley's like, "Why are you asking me that? Why is this?" and it's like, because we want to know every little piece about how they did it and how they play, honestly.
Right. How about it, Shirley? What surprised you the most with the film?
Well, it surprised me the most is they never gave up. They kept knocking on the door, and they made it happen. And it's an absolute true story, and everything in it is a remembrance of just what we did out there and how we did it, and how we got through it all, and the ups and downs, losing our drawing card when Babe was our star, and she became ill with cancer and died at a very young age of 42, and our tour went down, and then we had to come up again. We'd go up a hill, down a hill, up a hill, down a hill, and then came along Mickey Wright, and then came along Kathy Whitworth, and now we have the big global stars, and we're seen on television in 17 countries. Not too much in our country, but it's in 17 countries now they're seeing golf, and we're beginning to have players from India and places that you wouldn't even think they'd have golf courses. In the Olympics, the women's competing in the Olympics, almost just think of all the people, with some wonderful young players there that now they'll think about trying to come on one of the 6 tours. So it's a wide open thing there that's happening, and it's wonderful that golf is moving forward, especially in women's golf. we were out there early on the Asian tour. Prior to the men, we established golfers from that country. They came here and went to college, and they competed, and then they went back home. Then they came and joined our tour, and now they have their own tour. So it's big. It's expanded, and the more people can see it, the more they can hear about it, the more it's going to go forward. And I'm just pleased and happy to have had part of it in my blood. And I give back as a teacher. I think I give back, and my praise comes from someone who comes in and say, wow, that lesson really helped. I had my best score ever. That to me is winning as a teacher.
Right.
And
Well said.
Thank you very much. And Charlene, I hope to see you down the road real soon. And Amy, come and play in my Pro-Am, Shirley Spork Masters Pro-Am, which is going to be on April 3rd here in our desert.
I was just going to get to that, Shirley. Let me ask you a question, and then we'll give it a good plug for you. But let me just ask you a question on what you were just talking about, Shirley, about sort of expanding into a lot of the Asian market and that. I've noticed here in probably the last decade, particularly on the LPGA, that there has been almost a boom of Asian players coming on the tour. Why do you think there's more? It's been more prevalent in with a bigger, not just Asian, but also Latin American countries as well that have really blossomed out on the LPGA tour. Why don't you see as much of that on the men's tour as you do in the women's tour?
Well, I can't really answer that question. I don't know how many foreign players play on the men's PGA. They had fights with the tour, the men's tour, way back about 20 years when some of the players didn't want to they had to play in so many tournaments. They couldn't just come over here and play a couple of times and then run back home. They made a rule that they had to stay and play in all the tournaments. And in the beginning, we had Seabury Pack. It was a star from, I guess, I don't remember. I think it was Korea. I might be wrong. But Seabury was a star. When she went home, everybody found out that they had the chance to have a woman athlete, and then they started training their athletes, and they sent them over here, and they went to Ledbetter School and other schools.
Right.
Kathy Whitworth had a school where they were teaching, and Yanni Sin, she came over here near us in the desert and trained and went on at that time, I don't know, one of our mini tours, and then from there she blossomed out, and boom, 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 she did great. So we are the roots of everything that's happened, and these roots got fertilized, and they're growing, and they're doubling out and getting profuse. Like I look at my yard and the bushes are growing, and the more water and the more attention you give them, they grow.
Right.
And they get bigger, and then and then you have to cut them back. So when you cut them back, you make new bushes. And the same thing in golf. They were here, and now they're spread out, and they got their own little place to go. They don't have to be part of us. And we've got some new stars coming up. Hopefully in the next year or two, and we look forward to and congratulate our players that are thinking now of retiring, getting married, and having a family. And so we have to work very hard on trying to get some of our American players up there in the top 1, 2, 3 positions. We're lucky to have Lexi, who is a long hitter, and I think that she's going to really show them this year on the tour.
I couldn't agree more.
Tell you, I thank you very much for this interview, but I have to go to a meeting at Amy Alcott's birthday.
Well, wish her happy birthday. Let me just say very quickly before you go, just want to remind everybody that the Shirley Spork second annual Pro-Am is going to be Monday, April the 3rd in Palm Springs. And this is, of course, to help raise money for your scholarship fund. Where in Palm Springs is the event?
It's in Palm Desert at Palm Valley Country Club. And if they're interested at all they have to do is email Shirley Spork 2017 proam@gmail.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
Shirley Spork 2017 proam@gmail.com. And thank you very much for your time. And thank you, Jamie and Charlene. And hopefully we meet down the road real soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ted, too.
All right.
Bye,
Ladies.
Ted,
yeah,
can I just say something just before we close? Just to circle back a little and Shirley's metaphor of kind of the garden growing in the seeds. To me, it's amazing that Shirley, and that we can still know Shirley, Marilynn Smith, that they really are the shoulders we stand on. They're the ones who planted the seeds. They're the ones who pioneered the way so that, you know, people like me and many others can, and all the tour players, the teachers, the golfers, we have thousands of girls in LPGA, USGA girls golf programs, and I think women are one of the fastest growing parts of the game now. And to think that all started with these women that, Charlie, you have so beautifully documented, and it's so important that people see the film. And I cry at the end every time I see it. It's so profound. And I think it's so important that we know our history, our history.
I think what you're saying, and what I just want to say real quick is, like, if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. And I think that's what the LPGA does well. But at the same time, this is universal for all of us. And this is a piece of history that when you see it, you're surprised and amazed and excited. But it also gives you hope, and it also gives you, like, somewhere to go to, somewhere to strive for. It has that, and I think, like any good story and any good success story, there's lessons in it,
And it's universal.
Right, exactly.
You don't really have to be a golfer to enjoy the film. If you're a golfer, you'll love it. But if you're not,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a great story. A true, as Shirley said, it's a true story. And any sport or any endeavor, it is just so inspirational. And to think, what anybody is doing today, what are they setting off for those to come, and in the next generation.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, ladies too, what it also the story speaks to is it talks about really a group of ladies who didn't let adversities or obstacles prevent them from doing something that they wanted to do, and they rose to the challenge and had to do a lot of hard work and a lot of running around and so forth. It wasn't all just about having great golf swings or playing great golf. It was about actually, if you look at it from a realistic standpoint, of almost building a brand without even realizing they were building a brand. And that legacy has been fast-forwarded. So I agree. I think the film is very important on so many levels, not just even if you don't play golf. The lessons that you can draw from this are insurmountable. Which brings me to the point, Charlene, where can that – sorry, go ahead.
So just one last comment is that, I think we really need to think about the context, because we're talking like the late 1940s, 1950s, 1960s. I mean, here we are in 2017, and we are far from achieving full gender equality or racial equality, or all of these things.
Right.
And just for women to even get equal opportunity or equal pay for equal work, these are still big issues. And to think of what Shirley and the original founders did when they, as young women, said, I'm going to play golf and we're going to do this together. That was defying social odds, and it was without support, societal support. So it's amazing to really think of that context. And I think that the footage and some of the black and white footage and the original dress and clothing and all these things really bring that right to us to appreciate the woman we were just speaking with, Shirley Spork, and all of the original founders.
Sure.
And
imagine
it's amazing.
playing in a knee-length wool skirt.
Right. Exactly. And what's interesting is even at her age now, it's amazing how in tune with today's game she is. It's not just about remembering what happened, 40, 50, 60 years ago, but even in today's market, she's very up to date and in tune with what's happening in the golf world today, which is very amazing and surprising as well. Charlene, I want to give you an opportunity to let the folks know. Obviously, we've talked about the film, and I know you're trying to get it to a much broader audience. But for those that maybe haven't seen the film and would like to, is there an opportunity that they can go and see the film, or how do they go about doing that to learn more about it?
So right now we're working on getting it into distribution, but in the meantime, we're doing festivals. There's a ton of support around film festivals, and also we're hopefully going to be offering an opportunity for, if you want to screen it at a local theater, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to apply to bring it to a theater close to you. And it really, for people to find out about it, if they go to the www.thefoundersfilm.com, they can sign up and we'll give them updates about what's happening with it. And also there's an email link on there. Please use it. You can contact us directly. Say, hey, I really want to see this film, or ask questions, but you can see the trailer on the website and get a hold of us that way.
Oh, I'm not.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I'm not sure if I. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I could now. You
are.
Cut out for a second, but
great.
Sorry. Go ahead. You might have to repeat some of that, not all of it. But
I'm not sure where it dropped off.
You were just talking about the trailer. You left off, and then it got cut off for the trailer. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Ed, I was saying for information, you can go to thefoundersfilm.com. And I said there's the trailer there. There's information about the players and about the film. But also feel free to contact us through that website, and we're happy to answer questions and just engage around the topic, because it's it's always good to talk about them.
It's a great it's a great film, and I'm going to visit the website when we're done here just to dig in a little bit more. But again, for those that want to learn more about the film and get an understanding of what's in it, they can go to thefoundersfilm.com, as Charlene had indicated, and not only see a little snippet through the trailer, but you can also, as you indicated, reach out through the website as well if you want to learn more about the show, but also about maybe bringing it to your area, to your local theater. I think it's a great idea, and what a great way to celebrate. Is there I guess a lot is going to be dependent on obviously the success for this, but is there maybe a part two, if you will, an updated version, if you will, with what's going on in the tour? Is that something that you guys have considered as well, or what?
Well, we have a couple projects in the works that we're trying to talk about, but I can't mention them yet. But
okay, all right.
we will see. We will see. I mean, I hope so, Ted. I hope so. So.
And Ted, another, not on a film note, but the commissioner of the LPGA, Mike Wan, has done so many cool, great, innovative things in his tenure over the last 7-8 years. And one of the things that he did was to create the Founders Cup Golf Tournament, which is coming up in mid-March in Phoenix. And Shirley and Marilynn Smith are there each year, so they'll be there again this year. And there's always another honoree. And the players, the current players, get the through thread that Charlene has really pulled through so beautifully in the film, which is, we're out here. We're so fortunate to be because of these founding women and the courage, the bravery, the efforts, everything that they did to create the LPGA. And it's really kind of cool at the 18th hole at the end of the day each day, and certainly the 72nd hole, to see the young players come off the golf course and shake hands and bow and hug the founders. It's really just so moving, and it's just so great to be able to honor them. And while they're still here.
Exactly. No, I think it's fantastic, and great job, Charlene, in putting that together, and I know it's going to be a success. And I think it's something that's been certainly long overdue, as Shirley had indicated. It was something that took many years to put together, but it's certainly well worth it. Well, ladies, I want to thank you very much for coming on and sharing that with me tonight and with my audience. And Jamie, as always, thank you for helping put this together. And please keep me updated. And Charlene, if there's anything that I can do to help promote the film, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Okay.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. And Jamie, thank you for inviting me to the show.
Well, absolutely, it's really my honor. And Ted, you're the best. Thanks so much for making making space to get some of these things out there to the golf world and the general public. You're doing a great service, and I appreciate it so much.
Well, this was actually one of the easiest shows I had to do because Shirley was just a master at walking through. I didn't even have to ask her the questions. That was perfect. If I get to do a show like this every week, it would be great. And also, kidding aside, but let me know as her book gets closer, as we talked about early on in the show. Let me know when that happens, and I will get her on my morning show as well to talk about her book coming up in a few months. Okay.
Can I add a little? Did anyone talk about playing with Shirley? Jamie, did you talk about playing with Shirley?
I didn't. I talked a little bit about what it's like to just be on a golf course with her and the kinds of perceptive, simple, but just zinger comments she'll make. They're like, whoa. I need to hear that. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead. We've got a few minutes, so go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say was, it took us like 4.5 years to make the film. And in that time, I was on a golf course with Shirley constantly, but we never played. And this past fall, I brought her to a screening, and we got to play for the first time. And she made me go and hit balls first. And let me just tell you, in the time that I hit balls with her, my golf game improved so significantly. Like the amount of information that she has, and she would literally say, "Turn this, step back, put your leg here." I mean, it's incredible. But let me tell you, getting out on the course with her, let's remember that she's almost 90. We went and played 9 holes, and we played with another pair, and Shirley, every single shot, she parred I think every hole. Her shots are so, almost 90. I mean, at one point, this was actually a hard course.
Well, she's had, I believe, both knees and both hips replaced along the way because she wasn't going to stop playing golf. And her swing is so smooth. The tempo and the balance to her swing is a thing of beauty. And her putting is immaculate.
It's incredible.
When she still plays in the Pro-Am, and she played with the commissioner and one of the touring pros, of course, each year. And this was maybe 2 years ago at the Founders Cup. I followed and made a little video. It was extraordinary. She made all their birdie putts. She put the ball on a par 3 closest to the pin. I mean, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And there were NFL players with her. And she's just still kind of kicking everybody's butt and having a great time.
She is, and she actually said to me, Jamie, we were out. It was tough for me. Tons of sand, and Shirley looked at me after I'd hit it in the sand probably 6 times, and said, I was sweating bullets because I'm playing with Shirley Spork. I'm just sweating out there, and she says, "All right, Charlie," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong now? Is this a good shot? Am I going to hit this?" And she said, "So, pick up the ball." I was like, okay, it's time to move forward. All right, Charlie, pick up the ball. Because, when she's playing that much better than you, I was like, yeah, it's time for me to pick up the ball.
Well, she's no nonsense, that's for sure. And it's so refreshing.
Yeah, it's
fantastic.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, very, very interesting woman, and I'm glad that you guys had the opportunity. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to listen to her this evening. It's been a fun show. And very quickly, Jamie, because I know you have more of the information, I want to just, again, just remind everybody about her upcoming tournament on Monday, April 3rd, the Shirley Spork 2nd Annual Pro-Am, Monday, April 3rd in Palm Springs. again, raising money. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, I believe the email, if you want to reach out, is Shirley Spork 2017 proam@gmail.com. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. Mm-hmm. And, anybody can certainly reach out to you or to me if somehow that I forget that or that doesn't work. And it's a wonderful collection of LPGA Teaching Pros and a really beautiful golf course, a very fun day. And Shirley is so excited to be supporting young players and at her old alma mater, which is really great. Marilynn Smith also has a tournament every fall in October in Phoenix, and maybe we'll be able to get her on the show too as well, and hear from another one of the founders. So they're both just such incredible leaders, examples, and assets to all of us. I think they will be till forever, and so we're just so lucky every opportunity to speak with them, be with them, play golf, support everything they're doing, and to be supported by them is just a great blessing in life, really. In our lives. Yes.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you again, ladies, for joining me tonight on Golf Talk Live. It's been a pleasure. Again, good luck with the Founders Film, Charlene and Jamie. Again, as always, thank you very much for all of your hard work on the program, and I look forward to you coming back many times on the Coaches Corner panel discussions this year, and also as a guest. But thank you, ladies, and please extend my special thanks, Jamie, to Shirley for coming on and spending some time with me this evening on the show.
Well, absolutely, and just thank you once again, Ted, and thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Ted, and thanks, Jamie.
All right.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
All right, ladies. All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was my my very special guest. We finished out with Jamie Leno Zimron and Charlene Fisk. And, of course, a little earlier on, we were joined by LPGA founder Shirley Spork. Very interesting, as I said, lots of great information. And as I mentioned, Shirley was one of the original 13 founders of the LPGA back in 1950, and now she's still giving back to the game. She helped start the game for the Women's Professional Golf Association, and was able to, with many of her other supporting founders as well, as I mentioned earlier, been able to help foster the LPGA to what it is today. So thanks to her, and thanks to the other founders as well. Thank you to Charlene Fisk for doing all of the legwork and putting this film together. I know it's going to be very successful. And as she mentioned, if you want to learn more about it or find out how you can get it to come to your area and play, they're trying to get distribution set as we speak. But in the meantime, if you want to come to a local theater, I think, again, even if you're not a hardcore golfer, I think there's some great life lessons in this film as well. So go to the foundersfilm.com. That's www.thefoundersfilm.com. To learn more about that. And as she said, you can reach out through the website as well if you want to have somebody get in touch with you to provide you more details. And, of course, my good friend, LPGA teacher professional, Jamie Leno Zimron, thank you again for helping last week with IMAP, and then also this week with Shirley. Thank you very much for all of your hard work. And I want to take this opportunity as I wind down the last moment or two, to thank all of the listeners worldwide for faithfully tuning in to the program each and every week. I do enjoy putting this show together and having a number of highly talented coaches and teachers and authors and entrepreneurs stop by. And it's really, as I've said so many times, it's really through their participation and guest appearances that help make Golf Talk Live a first-class show. A special thanks to some of the supporters and sponsors of the program, Mr. Jonathan Laird, who I've mentioned many times, from South Coast Golf Guide. He is the editor and owner of the guide, a great publication here in the southeastern part of the United States, from Texas right over here to Florida, featuring many of the great golf courses along the way. You can find in that. Go to southcoastgolfguide.com. And if you're interested in advertising, you can reach out through the website to Jonathan. If you're interested in advertising in the publication as well, it has quite a following, and you can get it actually in many of the golf locations in the area, whether it be Edwin Watts, as well as many of the condos here. I know in Panama City Beach, many of the larger condos carry it in their lobbies and so forth. But you can get it virtually anywhere here in the Southeast. And if you're somebody that's not in the Southeast but maybe planning a trip, you can go to southcoastgolfguide.com and reach out to Jonathan and his group, and they will make sure that they get a copy sent to you. He will actually send you a copy or let you know where you can pick one up when you come down. So make sure you go to southcoastgolfguide.com, and you'll enjoy learning about some great tracks in the area, and you can actually give you all the information there if you want to book a tee time at some of the places as well while you're down here. Also to Meredith Kirk from Meredith Kirk Golf. What a great young lady, an LPGA teacher professional as well out in the Myrtle Beach area. She was also the 2014 Mrs. South Carolina winner and went on to compete in the Mrs. USA pageant. Didn't win, but finished very well. My good friends as well, Nikki and Tiffany, his wife Tiffany Litherland, for all of their help for spreading the word as well. Mr. Bernie Pinder from OnticGolf.com, and of course Sean Kelly, owner of LinkedGolfers.com. And my good friend, Mr. Peter Doyle from Doyle Golf Solutions over in Ireland. Thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen, for all of your continued support. We'll be back next week. In fact, March 2nd will be the first show, as I mentioned last week and the last couple of weeks. We'll, of course, bring you back Coach's Corner and have some panel discussion. And I got a great show for the first Coach's Corner. That'll be the first hour of my 2-hour broadcast, and then I will have a great guest on the second hour that I will interview as well. But you want to make sure you stay tuned. And if you're interested in, as I said, coming on the show, if you're in the golf business, maybe you've written a book that's golf related, or maybe you're a teacher professional or somebody in the golf business, and you're interested maybe coming on the show, you can reach out to me at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. That's ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And you can also get updates, as I said earlier, on facebook.com. Go to the type in Golf Talk Live blog, and that will take you to my page there. Or you can find my personal page as well. I post everything on there. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Ted and Buck CEO. That's CEO in capital letters is my Twitter handle. I always update there as well. But if not, feel free to join us each and every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central here on the blogtalkradio.com network. Golf Talk Live is very easy to find. Go to blogtalkradio.com and type in Golf Talk Live. And don't forget to join me every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern with my good friend LPGA professional Cindy Miller as we host together the Women of Golf show on the blogtalkradio.com. So again, go to blogtalkradio.com, and you can either type in Women of Golf or you can type in Golf Talk Live, and that will take you to both shows. So Tuesday mornings, Cindy and I go head-to-head, if you will, on the Women of Golf show from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern on blogtalkradio.com, or Thursday nights I go alone for 2 hours on Golf Talk Live. So if you weren't able to join in tonight's live broadcast or any of the live broadcasts, go to the links I mentioned, blogtalkradio.com/Golf Talk Live or /Women of Golf, and scroll down to the on-demand sections, and you can listen to the recorded version when it's convenient for you. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining me again on the program. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed listening to one of the legends of the game and one of the founders of the LPGA, Shirley Spork, and Charlene Fisk, of course, the videographer, editor, and director of the Founders film, and, of course, my good friend, Class A teaching professional, Jamie Leno Zimron. Thanks again, ladies, for joining me here on the program tonight. And I will see you guys next week, next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central, right here on Golf Talk Live. God bless everybody, and have a great weekend.